Some of the best times back in the day when I started getting information about 13 signs astrology from Femi. You guys remember her, some of you. And some of the best times, man, like just sitting around and soaking and vibing up energy, having the time to do that and not really having to be forced to go to a job or forced to do this or forced to do that, just letting go of everything. Like so many of my powers was unlocked during that time. Like I learned so much from her without asking questions or without sitting down like a teacher student relationship. It was literally just being around somebody and spending time around somebody and being able to just soak up information without talking to them and kind of like telepathically. But it's like you guys are communicating. And that's kind of like what happened. And I was able to tap into a lot of new information when I was around her about currency. And it was coming to me back then, but I didn't understand what it was. So since then, like, I mean, everybody's like, well, like, everybody's doing well, everybody's rich. I mean, Femi has gotten rich since then. I need to do some videos maybe one day. I don't even really probably should do some videos, maybe in a private segment, um, like a paid private segment. I can kind of drop some information on like what exactly she's doing because it's kind of top secret and worth a lot of money. And I'm starting to learn that not to drop all the information, on YouTube on this free format, because some of this information when it's purchased, it helps it to kind of grow and fester a lot better. I'm starting to realize that than just giving out information because as they always say, knowledge is to be sold, not told, which is very important. I really am a firm believer in that. You got information that could create currency. That's the type of information I deal with and was able to unlock from just being around people, top flight people with spiritual knowledge that probably didn't realize they could be rich. And I would always tell them that, like different teachers, like she introduced me to a lot of people too. Like she introduced me to this one cat, and he was kind of rich already. I'm not saying he wasn't, but based on the books and the library and stuff that he had, I'm like, dude, you supposed to be like multi-billionaire, man. Like he was like a millionaire actually, but like you're supposed to be a multi-billionaire. He was one of the cats that um produced The Simpsons and some other stuff. But she took me around him, and yeah, man, like he could have been a lot more rich. And I'm saying that because some of the stuff he taught me was like help to play the World Series out. And what happened this year with the World Series that made like a boatload of money. But I'm saying all of that to say that in manifesting, what I teach my people when they come around me now, what I'm starting to get into, and what I learned based on this dark currency experiment that I partook in and kind of have like partially graduated from it. I'm moving to another level of it. But yeah, man, like you have to like when you deal with like knowledge and information and powers and wisdom and all of that, you have to realize that there's a way for you to actually gain off of that and capitalize off of that. And I found out that my like one of my main, I guess, so-called powers, if you will, like probably one of my highest videos actually on this channel was when I did information about the third eye. And I didn't realize that was probably the reason why like I got over 100,000 views on that video is because of the fact that documented my powers of what I'm really capable of, even still to this day. And that helped me to kind of move into like what I'm into now and kind of what I want to share with you partially because this is what I'm into now. Like, and this is what I've been teaching my clients and people that really anytime somebody donates, like we just had a big donation. So that's why I'm kind of dropping extra information now. Like anytime people just even donate to the PayPal account, or unfortunately that's what we're using, but we transfer it to like various different accounts. But I'm not saying unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately because they're having PayPal wars right now, which is kind of like bad for business with them. But in my mode of business, I only do business as a sovereign, and PayPal does respect the sovereign though, and I respect that. And a lot of the ID scenarios with PayPal, um, you don't have to go through as much trouble in securing accounts and trading, and that's why I use them. So like anybody that's just interested in dropping $1 or anything in a question, just send a donation to PayPal. 13 signs astrology at gmail.com, and I'll be glad to answer your question. I do answer emails and questions for free too when I got time. But of course, when you see that donation, it like boom, you just like it snaps and you help like and you see the question, it helps you to just go at it. Like and a lot of times people are communicating now with figures because I'm really good at that too. And we got a group of us that are into like figures and numbers. So like they could just leave a certain amount of money and tell me what I need to talk about even. So it's deep, and I learned all of these powers, man, from being around like people with knowledge and like soaking up information. And then I already had knowledge on marketing. Like I was deeply into marketing before I became like really conscious. So I'm like, man, what's up? Like when they was talking about like Atlantis and all these different civilizations and Egypt and we hear about it. I'm like, how much money did it take to do all of that? I would always be the one thinking that like everybody would just talk about what they were doing and how like beautiful it was. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that's beautiful. My thing was like, who financed all of this? Like this isn't cheap. It's not cheap to build a pyramid. They don't even know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's partially because they don't have the money to know how to do it. And I'm starting to realize that we live in a very excuse me, I just wanted to make sure we're still taking, but we live in a very cheap reality, man. Like very cheap reality from my perspective. I'm saying that because like from what I've learned now from studying deep level like economics from like past civilizations that we live in the past. Like this shit blew my mind. Like we live in the past with our technology. You guys know that, right? Like making a video on a cell phone, all these things, they had capabilities of doing all of this stuff a long time ago. You can even watch Star Trek and they'll show you like how can an old show that probably came out in the 60s, 70s or something have all of this stuff documented about technology that some of it we just now getting ourselves. Virtual technology where you don't need a device and it just the computer's right there and you just look like you type in the air, but your interface. Like people have this stuff in their house now. Real rich people got like supercomputers and stuff. And a lot of it was personally designed by them. But I'm finding out like the ancients had supercomputers. They had like companies that now you guys go through states to get companies and stuff. Like they had ways of getting companies incorporating on what's called the Intergalactic Confederation of Light or the Galactic Federation of Light. And they can incorporate through like intergalactically. This stuff is still capable, but it's like they say, the game is to be sold and not told. Who's going to actually spend the time to pay for it? Paying for stuff in this world, in our world, is not always like, okay, I got this amount of cash, I'm gonna pay for it. Like a lot of times you may have to pay another way. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it takes time, like to really get knowledge and to demonstrate it. And that's why we're not getting along further. In my opinion, is because we waste a lot of time and energy on things that are not going to make us any monies because we're bored and don't want to challenge ourselves. You got high level dreams that you skip over every day just to be normal and give out your energy every day, sexually mostly, for nothing, for nothing. And in these civilizations, they skipped over all of that. But they were into unlimited progress and knowing that they could experience the sexual experience on a very high level once this was accomplished. So I don't want this to be too long because I don't want this to shut down, but just kind of pointing out like I'm starting to realize that there's a way, and this is where I'm going to kind of shut down at, that there is another system. It's not a way, but there's another grid. What is a way? Another internet, basically. And what I found out is that all this stuff about the internet now is from another internet. And once we find out about this other internet, it's going to blow our mind. Scientists know about it now. You hear about these rich billionaires. I'm not going to go into them. They're trading these cryptocurrencies. What do you think this stuff is? These are a lot of the older currencies connected to the older grid. They know about it. They making billions. I mean, you got to take us billions off of this. Why aren't you making at least 100,000 a year off of it? And then you will be able to donate. I always tell people this. Like I'm saying in one video, like, why aren't you making six figures? You would be able to donate $10 a week, you know, to someone that's teach you how to make six figures, you wouldn't complain and be like, man, this and that, you making six figures. How much that is? That's over $1,000 a week. You might be in your 20s doing that, or even a teenager like doing that. That's a lot of money still to this day. And you could be donating and like circulating currency, and like that's a part of the economy. Like I'm gonna make a video soon, be talking about selling pennies and stuff. So that's what I'm finna be doing. So a lot to talk about, a lot to say, but there's an older internet, and this is how they designed it. I believe, from what I've discovered, that civilization was designed by this older web. When you start talking about 5G and all that, that's going to help you to understand what it is. Like, I used to watch those deep water shows, and I want to kind of talk about this, those deep diving shows. And when I used to watch those deep diving shows, I realized that we only live on 10% of our planet. I was a kid. I was like 5 years old watching this stuff, even 3 years old. And I've been realizing this stuff. Like, we only live on 10% of the planet. And when you start to get into it, you'll find out there is civilizations in that water. There are ways to travel through water. We don't know much about this planet that we live on. It's amazing because we've been living here for a long time and don't know much about it. And that's why we're kind of like at where we're at. And some people are breaking out of the spell, man, but it's a spell of numbers, money, being able to access your higher powers so you can remote view areas around you without going. Like, I can go to an area. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to scare people. People are scared of me, man. They know I'm for real about this, but it's not to scare people because I'm very humble and I know how to still be very normal. That's why I do certain stuff that a lot of teachers wouldn't do. They're like, that's not conscious. You eating this, you eating that. Like, my powers are very high level. I'm not trying to put other people, teachers down, but I don't think a lot of them are as psychic, honestly, as I am. Like, on that type of intuitive as I am. And my powers are very high, so I have to like lower my energy on purpose because like I can be out of this mug, like probably if I really wanted to, and come back like that, like seriously, like that. And not to brag, but it's just because my energy was always like that. And I mean, in private sessions, I go into like why and teach people how they could potentially be like that too. And it's just because of the dumbing down of foods and certain things that we're taught, even on a conscious and not conscious level, and not mixing it up right is why we're stuck. So, man, just reminiscing about those times and being thankful that I'm able to come up with this new program based off of what I learned from a humble teacher and experience, man, years ago, that now we're all walking into wealth, like many of us. And it's a wealth that's not like I got all of this money, but it's a wealth that's like I'm free, I don't have paperwork, I'm involved in an experiment that I know I'm going to eventually be able to kind of like, I was saying on the one video, live in multiple mansions and have multiple properties and things like that, but still be able to be free, to be conscious and be able to go to parts of this planet that we don't even know about and come back and teach people. Amazing. So that's what's going on, man, with the Oracle, man. She's on some deep stuff. So in the future, I'll talk about more of her, but she's moved up. She's over me. Like, of course, we know that. So you're like, well, how come you doing all he's doing and she ain't doing nothing? You don't even know. You wouldn't know. So we'll go into more of that in the future. Just thank you guys for listening and watching. And as always, keep studying and stay vigilant. Namaste.